Holy untimely firings. This is and contract releases. This is Flight Check Season 3, Episode Unlucky 13. We're back.
Wow.
Once again, talking all aspects of FlyQuest-centric League of Legends, International League of Legends, second-tier League of Legends, and the state of the LCS and NACL on tonight's banger of a show. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes, and to my left, and my extra left, my fellow hosts returning as they always do, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Gentlemen, another few games of MSI have gone by. The pain is never ending for NA and EU fans. We'll truly never get to see the fruits of our labors.
It's kind of funny at this point of having watched as long as I have. I'm just numb to it. Like maybe Sandy, you because you started watching in season 5, right?
It was casually in season 4, and then it was hardcore season 5 from then on.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna just say around season 16, season 17, you'll be on the same level of numbness that I am.
Yeah,
probably.
Sure.
Like you're getting there.
Yeah.
Curly, I'm sorry to say you got a while to go.
Yeah, Curly's got a few more, several more years to go before, hitting the numbness that we have achieved.
Before Hopium is no longer good for my system.
What are the five stages of a grief or whatever? I think I finally, after anger, 10 years. Stages. Yeah, I think I'm finally at the acceptance stage. I finally made it through all 5. So
anger, bargaining, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I think I'm kind of in that.
Denial is a river.
I'm in depression, I think. I'm just kind of like, well, I think I'm, because there's been a trend recently in some of the Western-centric content, like the Dive and Euphoria, and I'm starting to see it a little bit more on like Hotline League and stuff like that. But like on this week's the Dive-phoria episode, the perspective that like Azale was having was not so much, I don't see any way that they can win, Cloud9's doomed, blah blah blah. But it was much more like, hey, here's a really good shot for Blabber to like show off what he can do. And, I just want them to go out there and have, like, a good performance and make it competitive. And I'm, like, getting to that point where we go to international competitions, and I was like, I just want to see what they can do. I'm not even, like, expecting anything. The expectations are so low that, winning one game is an accomplishment for me at this point. So that's
you actually sound very close to the stage that I'm at then. So you're suffering depression still, but you're like right on the cusp of acceptance, Sandy. I think just a little more, you can join me.
The depression comes out in the fact that I've actually barely watched any of this tournament at all, because it was like, it's a
same. It's 8 a.m., bro. That's a tough time to get up.
It's
for League of Legends.
Well, with my schedule the last few weeks, it's just been actually incredibly poor timing. I'm either at work or I'm asleep when the games are happening, so it's just been...
Yeah, the only people that's convenience for is office jobs. You get in, you answer emails on one monitor, you have...
In my last
you have MSI on the other.
In my last job, there were times where I would show up to work an hour and a half earlier than I normally did, because Worlds was on, and I was waking up at 7 a.m., or 6 a.m. even, depending on where it was, to watch Worlds. And I'd be like, well, I'm awake, I might as well go into work.
See, that was me with...
I would just watch Worlds at work, I definitely never did that. Absolutely not.
That was me for Worlds in 20, because for whatever reason, I was on a kick of getting up like 5 a.m., waking up before, the sun rose, taking my time to get ready, watching some Worlds, and then go into class at 11 a.m., really taking my time to get up. Now I cannot imagine doing that at all. It was great for that month. Life was really good then.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just on the okay. Wake up at 7:30 grind. Except that I missed the first game. Walk into work, and then it's like, all right, I get to watch games 2 and 3 before the best of 5 is done because it's all these best of 5s have been.
Yeah, exactly.
See, my girlfriend's been very pissed off because I keep setting an alarm, and like for last week for Europe, I'm like, I'm gonna go back to bed, and it was like 10. She's like, Curly, get up. I'm like, no. But then for NA, I was like up before my alarm, so I was like, yeah, it's all right.
Is she calling you Curly in real life? Is that what's going on?
No,
okay.
no. But like,
could you imagine?
Oh my God, Sandy!
I could not imagine my fiance calling me Noxwar. I would be like, "What the hell?"
I think I'd be disturbed if my fiance was like, "Hey, Sandy Toes, what's going on?"
I mean, here's the thing: if the relationship had come from like League or Discord and anywhere like that, I would understand that happened like 30 to 40% of the time. That makes sense. But like, no.
I had my fiance's brother call me Nox once. I was like, "Don't ever do that again, please. Do not ever do that again."
Yeah, hard pass. All right, MSI. Speaking of international depressions, it's still going on. Honestly, there have been some really good series. There have been some. GENG T1 was pretty fire, in my opinion. The rest, there's been a lot of 3-0s.
A lot.
JDG took care of business, I think, as people expected, over BLG. And then BLG today knocked out G2 3-1. And then tomorrow, it's the fated GENG versus Cloud9, where truly, I think we're all just hoping that Cloud9 can take one game off of GENG. And be able to say, hey, we did get one win over an international opponent. And that would actually tie us up with EU again, because G2 is they are
2-6 in
2-6
terms of
against China,
Eastern
Korea,
teams.
yeah. And right now we are 0-6.
No, we are Golden Guardian
1-8.
Yeah.
So getting a single win would put us in a decently even footing against Europe for.
We could be 2-11, baby. We can do it.
2-11, versus 2-6. Actually, technically, I missed the fact that you had Mad dropping, so they're 2-9. That's what.
Even better.
Yeah, 2-9. So, hey, you go. If they win 2 games in some miracle and we go 3-11, I'll take that even over 2-9. That would be.
It's funny. I think we've just gotten to the point of where it's like, okay, we've been denied of a North America versus European matchup. So now all we're doing is like, okay, how many games can we take off the Eastern teams? Whoever has the higher numbers actually the winner of this tournament versus NA and EU.
So let's let's just dive straight into that discussion, because now that we've had this losers bracket result that we did, and to be fair,
the only way it could suck.
Yes, this was legitimately the only possible draw that I think this format was going to be garbage in, because now, okay, you have to caveat with, hey, well, you don't know, one of the Western teams could have upset a China-Korea team. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
That could have happened, and then the losers bracket looks completely different. Absolutely. But if things all go to chalk with this bracket, the way it's drawn up, then you just get rematches of the EMEA finals and the LCS finals. And frankly,
LCK finals
and LCK finals and LPL finals. And frankly, it's just not as interesting. That's not why we have international competitions, to see repeats of domestic finals.
Well, and then even regardless of that, like having just 2 regions on one side and 2 on the other, it's kind of boring, because it's like, all right, if one turns out like, if EU beats Korea in one and Korea beats EU in the other, then you see EU and Korea again and EU and Korea again. It's just a lot of the same. You're not really mixing up the international competition the way you possibly could.
Well, clearly what I I mean, the rule that instantly solves this problem, and this has been discussed time and time again already, but the rule that instantly solves this problem is once, a team is drawn into their side of the bracket, if there's a team from the same region still to be picked, they can't go on the same side of the bracket.
And a year from now, that'll be implemented, and we won't have to have this conversation.
Yeah, most likely. But again, and this was something I was arguing, last week, was you just take like C9 BLG in round 1, swap them with MAD T1. Instantly, this bracket is way more interesting. All of a sudden, you have BLG T1 in round 2, and
Fun.
JDG T1 in round 2. That's cool. And then you get G2 versus Cloud9 and Golden Guardians versus Mad Lions. That sounds like...
I would have loved to have seen that.
Sounds amazing. And
Golden Guardians versus Mad Lions sounds like such a good thing.
I take Golden Guardians in that every day, by the way.
Especially since he was said in an interview that he's like, oh, I think we would have smashed Mad Lions.
Yeah.
Like, that is an actual quote from Huhi.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Mad Lions looked horrendous out there, and Golden Guardians, even in their games against JDG, it felt not too terrible. So, yeah, that's all you have to do. And then this tournament format is saved in so many ways. And then if you continue playing it all out, at that point, I don't know what chalk would be, because we do not know what the Europe versus North America relative strengths are, because they simply did not play each other in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, they didn't play each other in play-ins, and they did not play each other in the bracket stage, and that is an immense shame.
For all we know, Rivers Rengar could have actually taken on Elyoya on Kha'Zix.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just really frustrating. Nox, your thoughts on kind of this format and the way things have gone so far?
I think in general, I said it last time on the show too, is I love the format. I think really at the end of the day, what ended up happening was just we low rolled, we not rolled a 1 on this draw. That's just all that it really truly is. Like it sucks. It's unfortunate. It is one of the few downsides to this format. And in any other tournament where teams are expected to be a little closer, unfortunately, we were in a world's, I don't know the proper terminology for this, but just the world of League of Legends is currently not close in terms of different regions, right? You have China and Korea are close, and then it's very quickly a giant drop off to NA and EU, and even more so to Vietnam and PCS. And then at that point you start to have it kind of close, and that's when the storylines can get a little bit interesting. But at the end of the day, this, I guess, maybe this is one of the major critiques, and maybe this format does need to be looked at in consideration of how the regions stack up to each other. So maybe that is the actual legitimate critique. I would say in terms of an actual legitimate tournament format on most other tournaments for other games or other sports or whatever it may be, I think this is a great tournament format. It's just, at least for League, maybe it's not. So I think we'll look at it again next year. I think what you were saying earlier, I completely agree with Sandy. They're going to flip it to where you can no longer have the same region matchup in the lower bracket, at least for round 1. And I think that should fix a lot of the problems, in my opinion. But maybe even still after that next year, the games continue to be the exact same way they were this year. China and Korea on top, North America and Europe in bottom. So we get an NA-EU match in the bottom somewhere. They knock each other out. They run into another Eastern team, and then they're out. And it's just still kind of predictable. So I don't know how to fix that. I don't know what format actually makes it competitive if we actually just can't ever fight their teams. So at the end of the day, I think this format's good. It maybe just doesn't work for League of Legends.
Yeah, that's a very fair take. Curly, how do you feel about that?
Oh no, did Curly die? No, I just searched for a little bit. I'm all good. I'm good. Just really had to take a moment to take everything in.
Indeed.
Yeah. But I did miss whatever proc you were giving to me.
Oh, I was just asking what your thoughts were on what Nox said, but also your thoughts just on this. How this tournament has gone so far in the format in general.
I do think, honestly, if it weren't for... we got the reverse of Infinity War. You know, in we looked at 14 million scenarios, and there's only one where it got boring with the current format, and this is it. And we can beat that to death, and it's fine. I do. So, like, I think that we've said all that is to be said about this, but something I want to propose is a quick preview to next year, because last year it was the ping issue. The year before, it was just, like, general lack of interest. This year, it's the, wow, this was the only way this could have gone bad. Why wasn't there anything to prevent this? What's the drama next year? Because it feels like there's always something to complain about at MSI. Always.
Where is MSI at next year? Is it China?
Has
that been revealed?
Question.
I don't know.
Well, it should follow a pattern, even if it hasn't been revealed. Like, you should be able to kind of like identify what.
Well, last year was
MSI,
Korea. This year it was EU.
MSI was in Korea last year.
Yes.
So
it was in Busan.
So 2021.
Oh, I'm thinking Iceland 2020 and or not even 20.
It was Iceland. It was in Iceland in 21. It was in Busan last year.
Yeah.
It was back in London this year. So EU got to double dip technically. I think Iceland was just literally the only country that would have had the
so basically MSI should be here or in China.
Yeah, because
2018 MSI and NA.
2018 was Europe. 2019.
Yeah.
2019 it was in Vietnam. So
it could be a minor region.
It could be China. It could be Europe. China did it in 2016. Brazil did it in 2017.
That was a dope MSI, by the way.
So,
that was a really fun MSI.
I could see it being a minor region, but I'm pretty sure 2015 was the first one. Yeah, in Florida, there has not been an MSI here in 8 years.
2015.
Now I know we just held Worlds, there in 2022, but we host events get hosted in Korea all the time. Very frequently. So I feel like it might be time for North America to shine, in my opinion.
So now, if we do it at NA, if we do it at NA, if we do MSI here, do we think it's going to be in one dedicated city, or do we think they're going to travel like they did?
No, it'll be.
I think it'll be one dedicated city. Typically, MSI.
Where are we going to get everyone to go?
East Coast. Everything's in West Coast. I don't know. NA's Wright's done a pretty good job of covering the both ends of the U.S. Like obviously everything's based in LA, right? So there's a West Coast kind of taken care of. There's summer finals this year coming to the East Coast. We just had Houston last spring, and then we also had Chicago last summer. So Central's been kind of taken care of recently. I almost feel, and then World's Finals was in Cali as well. I don't know, man. I'm gonna. Shoot, I have no clue. You're as good as mine.
What region hasn't gotten love recently? You know what? They're going to send everyone to dry-ass Phoenix, Arizona. No.
Oh, you know what? Let's do Canada. Canada deserves it. Send it to Canada.
Go to Toronto.
Go
to Toronto.
Bring it back to Vancouver. You know what city would actually be fantastic? Bring it to
What city would be fantastic?
Bring it to Seattle.
Seattle would be awesome. Seattle would be pretty cool. I would like that. I would like that a lot.
That's my
I would gladly go to Seattle.
Exactly.
Get to see some league, get to, just experience Seattle culture, maybe go visit Wizards of the Coast and be like, hey, thanks for not doing that thing you were going to do with Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, that would be very fun. I would like to go to Canada, though, because I do think it should. Canada hasn't gotten love from Riot in the last too long. I don't even know, because they got Toronto canceled for Worlds and just moved to doubling down on New York City.
Yeah, no, actually, that's even a better point, Curly. So it should definitely go to Toronto at this point.
Yeah, Toronto. Ooh, Montreal would be probably pretty dope. If you're gonna,
I would get so much poutine.
Dude, Montreal,
we get so fat in Montreal.
That would be a fantastic location.
That would be amazing.
All right, well,
all right, Riot, hire us. Sorry, we've been theorizing too long on this.
This is great. This has been a fantastic discussion for sure. All right, so. That's future MSI. Current MSI, tomorrow, Gen G versus Cloud9. Will Cloud9 get a game? Will they get 2 games? Will they get none? I say I see a world where there's 1 game. I think 1 game could occur. Curly, where are you on it?
If you look at my pick'ems, I really didn't think the West would get any wins in these 2 rounds. I was really surprised that G2 got one today.
I forgot to say mine, but I was gonna have BLG.
So I'm gonna be honest. Once Golden Guardians was out, all of my hopium out the window, gone.
Yeah.
So sorry, C9. I will be trying. Like, I will be really hoping you prove me wrong. Right now, I'm seeing an 0-3 for you.
Yeah.
Gen G taking it all the way. And let me guess, they face BLG after that. Then, yeah.
Yeah, it would be a rematch versus BLG. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun one.
Yeah. T1 JDG. That series.
That's a spicy one. That's a super spicy one.
Yeah, that one's on Thursday.
What I predict that one to be?
Technically, you haven't predicted it yet because I haven't put the form up for it yet. It's something that I will be putting out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay.
So.
That means you can predict now, though.
Nothing's stopping you.
I mean, regardless, I think it's going to be another Game 5 banger. I think it's going to be real fun to see. I do think it's going to go the way of JDG. Yeah, because, I just, me, LPL, international events. What else am I going to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Vote for Korea? No.
What a ridiculous idea.
Vote for T1? Absolutely not. They're going to, see JDG twice in a row. It's going to be, lose to JDG Game 5, go down, kick Gen G's ass, go right back to JDG, lose 3-0 this time. It's going to be, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. No, I agree. Nox, what do you think?
I see this going one of 2 ways. Way number 1, T1 ends up winning this, makes it to the grand finals. JDG makes a lower bracket run, and then T1 proceeds to lose in the lower bracket in the grand finals, as they have done for the past 5 grand finals. That's way number 1. I hope that doesn't happen, and the way I'm hoping for is way number 2. T1 takes the L right now, really steadies themselves, gets ticked off, makes the lower bracket run, and then finally breaks the streak in the grand finals for the ultimate storyline, and finally breaking this loss streak in grand finals, and Faker finally gets another international title, because damn it, he deserves it. I'm hoping for way number 2.
Dang.
What I'm predicting is actually way number 3. T1 lose here, make the lower bracket run, and lose to JDG in the finals.
Damn.
So
the emotional gymnastics they're going to have to go through.
I think no matter what ends up happening, I think T1's probably going to lose here, but no matter what happens, I think JDG's just looking cracked. I think they're going to end up winning this whole tournament.
Yeah, I think I'm on a similar page where JDG's just looking so good right now. Now, I will say their quality of opponents, but I mean, I was going to argue quality of opponents, but I mean, T1 has played Mad Lions and Gen G, and JDG has played Golden Guardians and BLG. I think it'll be really interesting. I think, personally, I'm going to be rooting for T1, but I think it's going to be a JDG 3-2. I'm hoping for a 5-game banger from these teams. But I could very well see T1 falls to lower bracket and then claws their way back up and takes them down in the final. Brilliant storyline.
Yeah, I really need these games to start going past game 3, because right now, as it's been, they've been getting done right around 9:30 a.m. my time, and it's just well, crap, now I gotta work the rest of the day. I can't even procrastinate.
And that's because the game times aren't even going past 17 minutes,
Yes, exactly. So please, T1 and JDG, make my Friday nice and easy.
I have taken showers longer than that game.
Bro, that last C9 Gen or versus Golden Guardians game though really looked like it was about to be another one. I do not know how it took Cloud9 so long to close that out.
Yeah, I have.
It was just everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
We've been streaming the show tonight longer than that game went. Just.
Oh my!
They actually have played. We're coming up on. We're coming up on two games worth of that game on this stream tonight. So.
God damn.
If I were to go like heat up my food tonight, it would only take me heating it up 8 times, which would probably destroy the food. That's how long that game took. Not very.
It makes me sad too. You know why? Because like every time I really behind the thoughts of Curly right now. I really want Mad Lions to just do one really good thing internationally. So I can confidently say they are my EU team. Because, like, they are. But, like, I'm afraid to own it because every time they escape EU and get to an international stage, they look like shit.
They do.
They don't look like a team. They look like you should have sent BDS instead.
Yep.
And it's so disappointing. Because it's like, I want to get behind them all the way. I just need that last 5% of one genuine success on the international stage. That's all I need. And then I can be like, yeah, Mad Lions all the way. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It is frustrating for sure. All right. Any further thoughts on... Well, Nox, I mean, did you have thoughts on Cloud9? I don't remember if you said already.
No, I unfortunately don't have a lot of faith in Cloud9 currently. I think, honestly, it'll probably end up looking somewhat similar to BLG. I think they're going to have decent early games because they're a decent early game team. And so I expect them to get into the mid game, and then what's going to end up happening is either Korea's going to start to out macro them because, I mean, even Sven said in an interview himself that they were struggling to play around side lanes at a certain point. And if that doesn't start working, and I mean, I think they're going to end up getting out team fought too, because I don't think Blabber and Jimenez are all that in synergy right now, and I think Sven's a little off tilter right now too. I think the only two people that are really up to snuff against all these other Eastern teams have been Berserker and Blabber. So if the team starts to gel, I mean, maybe there's a game taken, but I don't think it's going to happen personally. So 3-0 Gen G.
Dang, tough scene. I think I'm still going to predict the 3-1.
I mean, respect. It's not off the books. It's totally possible, but I'm leaning 3-0.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. That's MSI. Now it's
time. Spaghetti time! Let's go!
Now it is time to turn our...
Get your salt shakers out, because there's a bunch of salt about to go down. Let me tell you.
There is.
The demise... Last week, I had this exact topic line, which was the demise of NACL, ? So, live for you all right now, I'm going to make one key change. I got rid of the question mark. It is officially the demise of NACL. It has occurred. Teams are dropping players already. TSM didn't even wait. They just went straight for the throat right away. Immortals, their challenger players today all announced that they have been dropped, and things are not looking good in the NACL scene. Rumor has it 7 or 8 teams could possibly be dropping their challengers team. I legitimately do not know who will be playing in NACL this split. And by the way, that starts, or should be starting, pretty soon. So, I don't know what teams are going to be playing in that. I don't know what players. I don't know if they're even going to have one now. And, yeah, it's just an absolute wild time And the players are blindsided. Coaches are blindsided. There is widespread disgruntlement about this entire issue across the entire scene, except probably from the, owners who once again prove themselves to be completely out of touch with what the LCS fan base wants in a very frustrating way. And Riot, in many ways, blood is on their hands because they went back on their word. The LCS Players Association said that they had been assured that NACL would not be going away this year, or that something like this would not happen this year. And guess what? It happened this past week. So I don't know if anyone can put stock in anything Riot LCS says now, because they've shown that they can just go back on their word whenever they want to. So I'm frustrated. It makes me, I'll be honest, I'm going to keep watching. I'll keep paying attention, but it makes me less interested. Frankly, it just makes me less interested because it's like, okay, my home region doesn't care about making a better product, making better teams, making a better scene. Cool. How am I supposed to feel? Like you care about me as a viewer? No. Clearly not. So, it's frustrating. Nox, I know you've got a rant prepared. I've just delivered mine, so now it's your turn.
So, to address a couple of things. One, Riot did state that, yes, there will still be an NACL split of some sort. What they think that will look like, they actually don't even know yet, which... That's problem number one on top of a myriad of things.
That's actually ridiculous.
So that's only problem number one. Two, just to get it out of the way, TSM has already dropped their entire roster. Immortals earlier today has dropped their entire roster. You know what? F it. I'm going to go down the line and kind of just call out teams why I think they should or shouldn't be dropping these teams. Immortals, I think, is actually one of the teams that I think is actually doing very poorly financially right now, and I can understand why they're probably dropping the team, because I actually don't think they're probably one of the two teams that are actually need the help, right? Mm-hmm. And so for them, I'm kind of like, it's fucked, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. So I'm not going to get super mad at them. TSM's just unacceptable. F everything about this org. You guys have been absolute pieces of shit in this league for the past 5 years, and it has been absolutely unacceptable for the level of dedication that you've shown to the LCS. Get the hell out of LCS. I don't want you here. A whole bunch of other people don't want you here. Your fan base is toxic and trash. I'm sick and tired of it. Get out of here. I'm glad your NACL team's gone, because, I don't even want to see your org anymore. It's just so freaking frustrating when you're sitting here hiring veterans that are not going to help develop anyone. You're not hiring staff to help them support the NACL team. Your LCS team is just a piece of crap that's just kind of thrown together so that way they can just be able to compete for a little bit. What are you doing? Anyway, TSM aside, I'm expecting Cloud9 to stay. I'm expecting FlyQuest to stay. I'm expecting Golden Guardians to probably stay. I'm expecting Team Liquid to probably stay. Team Liquid, Cloud9, and Fly are probably going to want to stay because it's going to give them an advantage in the NACL. It's going to give them first dibs on any possible upcoming players, and it's going to make their LCS rosters probably down the line better, just because you may be able to find a domestic talent, and that may open up a slot for you to find an import later down the line. So I expect those three to stay. Golden Guardians has been very actually loyal, even if they haven't been very good at it, up for hot debate, but they've actually been very dedicated to the NACL. They've actually brought up lots of different talent, even though they failed at doing it, they've actually continued to try, so I expect them to continue to do so. 100 Thieves, due to their roster cuts that they've been trying to do over the past half split or so, or not even half split, full split, I'm expecting them to drop their roster, but they do have two very hot upcoming talents in Yukino and Sniper that they're probably going to want to hold on to. So my current prediction right now is that they're going to drop the roster but form a partnership with a North American amateur team, so that way they can retain the contracts of Sniper and Yukino, so that way they'll still have access to them and retain them from there on out. which leaves us with NRG, and then I keep wanting to say CLG, but NRG is CLG. What am I forgetting? Who am I forgetting?
Did you tackle Cloud9 yet?
Yeah, Cloud9 I'm expecting to stay.
Dignitas?
Oh, Dignitas, I'm really not sure on them. They may or may not stay. I don't think they're going to stay. Their whole, like, Bakery's whole thing this past split, and you can check this, there's receipts of this. It's in NAMN court. I was the one who asked him the question. I was like, what is your goal with this NAMN roster? And he was like, I want to win the NACL. And I was like, that's a little weird, but okay. So I don't expect him to stay. I don't think Dig is going to properly utilize the spot, so they're probably gone, which is just like, I don't know what the hell they're doing, period, anyway. I'm not going to crap them on them as bad as TSM because, like, they've just been incompetent. They've not been, like, toxic towards the league or anything. It's just like, y'all have been idiots, but not in a malicious way, in my opinion. NRG, I don't think
fumbling around, not knowing what you're doing, toddler.
Yeah,
Dignitas is an enigma to me. I can't figure them out. Like, what are they cooking over there? What are they trying to get done? Are they trying to win?
Yeah.
Are they, I think they're the epitome of never let them know your next move.
Yeah. And then NRG, I don't imagine that they're going to want to have a team. I like, you just got into the league. There's no point in, like, taking the time to, like, actually build that up. Just, like, let it all go. Goodbye. Which sucks because it's like, you should really realize that, like, all these teams should realize that, like, this is what's necessary to help this league thrive and grow. And then the last team is EG, and it's very clear that they're also hurting for money, apparently, because they just dropped their entire freaking LCS roster and picked up scraps from around the league. Is it a bad-looking roster? No, but at the end of the day, it's still scraps. And that really sucks, especially knowing the history of EG, because at the hands of, like, Kelsey Moser and Peter Dunn, like, their amateur and academy systems were great. They were fantastic. And so it just really, really sucks to see where these orgs have gone now. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like, none of it's acceptable, right? None of these 10 teams should have been, like, pushing for this to happen right here, right now. There's no benefit to happening right now. Like, the only reason I can see it happening right now is all the teams are trying to band together to help these two teams that are rumored to, like, be on the very verge of bankruptcy, which that's a huge red alarm for a different topic that I don't know if we have time to go into tonight.
Well, I mean, we've got 15 minutes. And there's not a lot else to talk about, so. Okay, then theory time. If you don't mind going even further down the rabbit hole with me. About it.
Okay,
let's bring it up.
My theory right now, and the whispers that I've heard, is that there are 2 LCS teams currently. My predictions being Immortals being 1, Evil Geniuses being 2, possibly the third of Immortals. I think these teams are on the very verge of bankruptcy. I think they're, like, really, really, really struggling right now. And so I think what ended up happening is these teams, I mean, like, all teams have been, like, since the beginning of franchising, pushing to get rid of these NACL spots, right? They've never wanted it from the very beginning. However, I think recently what ended up happening is, like, these teams came forward and were like, we are going to go bankrupt. And if we go bankrupt, that is very, very bad for the league, which is true. It is very bad for the league.
Yes.
But, like, at the same time, like, these teams are spending on, like, $1 million facilities and overinflating contracts. Like, they're part of the problem. Like, you kind of reap what you sow, right? And so what ended up happening is the rest of the teams kind of came forward and were like, well, we don't really want to hold these NACL teams either. I mean, some of us do, but, like, we don't want to be required to. And so to help you out, sure, we'll all come together as 10, go to Riot and say, hey, we really don't want to do this. Please get rid of this. Because what ends up happening is if these teams go under and they go bankrupt and they suddenly have to leave the league, that makes you look really, really bad. Other sponsors aren't going to want to join the LCS or anything, and that's going to help just kind of crash the whole organization down, period, right?
Yeah.
And so they end up doing this, and Riot's like, oh, okay, you've kind of got me cornered. But what's frustrating is that these orgs that are about to go bankrupt, it's like, that are they really that close to the point of where they need to drop the team right now ASAP? Like, is that really, like, necessary? Could you not have waited 3 months over the course of summer before dropping these teams and screwing over, like, 90-plus people and their jobs and their careers and their healthcare and their green cards, possibly even, so on and so forth? Like, why? Just why? I don't get it. And I'm going to take a moment to rest because my voice is actually starting to get scratchy. So by all means, pick up where I left off.
Curly, clearly.
Yeah.
If I'm hearing Noxwar correctly, he's a little peeved.
Just a little bit.
How are you feeling about this? I'm sure you are on a similar page as we are, but
it's as someone who aspires to be a part of something like this, like wants a career in making the event of LCS happen, you know, being a broadcaster, being an analyst, being even a production crew member, something like that, seeing the league that is closest to you make the stupidest decisions for itself is very discouraging, because like if there is no infrastructure for teams to develop themselves, there is no infrastructure for me to be part of the other side of it, of showing that to people.
Yeah.
So like personal stake is like, if the league keeps if the LCS and Riot NA keeps making choices like this, they're going to kill League of Legends in North America, and I really need to like change the trajectory of what I'm looking for, you know? Like, all right, maybe I pull a Draco, see if I can like try to get something over in Europe, I don't know. Or maybe I just look at a whole other game altogether. Like, I'm going to be honest, if there doesn't seem to be a shot for something in NA for League anymore, it kind of takes a stake out of me caring about the game a little bit, especially when I've got newer games that are more exciting to me, that I feel like I'm better at and have a deeper understanding of, like Omega Strikers. Like, it's new. I know it's very small right now. I don't expect the esports scene to pick up for at least 2 years, but like it's something that at its earliest conception, I feel like I've got a decent grasp on, and if it picks up, you know, maybe that's the way I go. Maybe I never talk about League of Legends ever again. Maybe retire Flight Check next year. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. Still care about FlyQuest. I'm not going to happen. Right. Still care about FlyQuest. Still care about, you know, League of Legends, all that stuff. Like, I've played it. Like, I only took 1 year away from the game overall. I've been playing it since 2013. I've had some stake in it. I'm going to care, you know? Right. But when you see something like this, it makes it very easy to detach, you know? And so Riot really needs to figure out how to make up for this, because otherwise there's not going to be a capacity for this in NA, and we're just going to watch the league slowly dissolve, and something that blew up and really kind of like carried the torch for making esports a popular thing will fizzle out, and it'll just be sad.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm ready for rant 2. Are you all ready?
Back.
If it's okay.
He's back.
Round 2.
I've regathered my thoughts. So, part number 2 to this. For those of you who were listening to Hotline League last night, Cubby popped on briefly, and it was pretty quick, and I don't think it was really discussed all that quick. But I really wanted to highlight it, that currently Riot gives stipends and financial support to teams to basically be in this league, and it was part of the deal for entering franchising, right? And so part of this stipend is actually dedicated to the NACL teams. What the percentage is, I'm not exactly sure, but at the end of the day, part of it is dedicated to the NACL teams. And so Cubby confirmed last night that for a team like TSM and so far Immortals, who have dropped their NACL teams, they will continue to receive the percentage of the stipend that was dedicated to the NACL. So these teams, who are no longer funding their NACL teams, are still continuing to receive stipends from Riot for these teams. They're just getting extra cash for doing nothing, basically, at this point. And that drives me absolutely freaking insane. It is not okay. Like, you have teams, like, Small League, because we're not very huge. Little Supernova here, they're very, very poor. They need every bit of help they can get. Like, they have plans to actually fundraise and use GoFundMe to help support their own team in the NACL this coming split, because they actually don't have enough money coming in. Meanwhile, you have Riot giving a percentage of their franchising cuts to these teams who are not even funding NACL teams. Yeah. Take these percentages away. Give them to Maryville. Give them to Supernova. Give them to Team Tony Top. You name it. Give it to AOE. AOE deserves it too. Give it to Wildcard. Give it to Fear. Like, these teams are not even franchise teams.
Maybe not Fear, but, you know.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're just being fair across the board. Like, Fear's had its own share of problems. I'm not going to go into it right now, but, like, technically they're an amateur org, right? They're not a franchise team. They're not receiving these payments from Riot. Like, they're doing everything on their own. And so like these amateur orgs deserve to be paid and at least be on the same level of competence as like these franchise orgs, especially if they're not even freaking participating in the league. So that was one of two, and then the third final one is there was also a caller on Hotline Lead last night that basically was asking like, hey, the owners need to be held accountable, and so I agree with this. The owners do need to be held accountable for this. And part of it, like, I'm going to come off as a FlyQuest show here a little bit, and specifically, I'm going to come off as like a Papa Smithy show a little bit. And I don't want people to really get that idea. I just want to make sure things are like nice and clarified. Papa Smithy is not an owner of FlyQuest. He is the president of games of FlyQuest. That is a very high-ranking chief position or like a C-class suite position in FlyQuest, but he is not an owner. As far as my awareness is, the only owners are the Viola family, and I don't know which one specifically, and possibly Brian, who's the new CEO of FlyQuest. I don't know what the exact deal in terms of his contract are for FlyQuest, but those are the two people that you should probably be going to and being like, hey, what the hell? So at least for FlyQuest perspective, like, I understand FlyQuest did say yes to this, and that is not okay. You have every right to be mad at FlyQuest for doing this, but understand that it probably wasn't Papa Smithy's decision, especially because as poorly as Papa Smithy utilized like some of his 100X staff and 100A staff back in the past years, he's always been a huge proponent for like these NACL players, right? He's always been a huge proponent of North American talent. So I have a lot of faith that he wasn't the one really pushing for this change. It was probably someone above him. So by all means, be pissed at FlyQuest. They made this decision. They agreed with it. They went through with it, and that's not okay. But clarifying that it probably wasn't Papa Smithy. So just putting that out there. I think that's everything. I think I'm done.
Well, here's the problem is you're never going to get, Zaya Lover 33946 on Twitter to understand that, the whole thing about Papa Smithy not being the owner of FlyQuest. So, yes, absolutely. I agree with you on that, is that, yeah, no, you can't punt the blame to Papa Smithy on this one. But, will your average, not even your average, will your below average LCS fan understand that? No, they're just going to see a target and go after them, and that's just going to be how it is, unfortunately. Oh, man.
So, I guess...
So, all right, so let's...
I was going to say, do you want to end on a positive note or head like towards like silver linings possibly? Or did you have some other...
I was actually going to say, hey, so where does that leave us, right? Because, like, we can complain and be sad and rant doom and gloom about this all day, but like at the end of the day, we have to, you've got to be able to say, okay, so what are we doing, right? Like, what is the way forward here? And one thing that I've been thinking about is, are there opportunities now here for all these like tier 3 orgs, your AoEs, your supernovas, etc., maybe to start coming in with like how we saw a couple seasons ago, like the whole Dignitas Mirage kind of deal, where it was like these tier 3 orgs kind of partner with the LCS teams, so they're not official LCS sponsored challenger teams, but it's kind of like, hey, we're gonna give you all $1,000 a month. I'm sure they can afford that. We're gonna give all 5 of you $1,000 a month just to subsidize you. To run your teams and play your games, and that's what you get. And I'm not saying that getting subsidized $1,000 a month is a fair pay. By no stretch of the means do I believe that. And absolutely not. That's not what those players deserve to be paid at all. But I could see something like that happening where you have like a Supernova slash, I don't know, pick a random team for me, someone. Supernova.
AoE.
Well, LCS team. Supernova.
Tony Top.
No. Random LCS
No,
team.
LCS.
Oh.
Supernova.
Energy.
Supernova.
That's a good one.
NRG Supernova, right? And it's like...
Actually,
which doesn't sound
Actually, that sounds like it would kind of slap.
that actually sounds really nice.
That
That sounds really well.
Kind of slap.
NRG Supernova, and they, all 5 players and the coach on that team get subsidized an amount from NRG. Maybe Riot comes in and subsidizes this a little bit. Like, Riot comes out and says, hey, if you LCS orgs partner up with a tier 3 org, we will subsidize it. I'm sure Riot can afford that. And
by taking the percentage that is not being used by teams not fielding an NACL team?
Yeah, something like that. So that to me seems like at least a way forward. And then you can begin to like put together an NACL team. Now, here's what you kind of have to do. And I think honestly, if you're going to have an NACL split in the next month or so, here's what Riot has to do. If they want another like 16-team NACL split, which I don't think is going to happen, it'll probably be done like 10. I'm going to say like 10 or 12 teams.
I'd be surprised if we see 8.
I was going to say I'm predicting 8.
What I was going to say is just have like a big, like you're going to have a big open qualifier, and you get like 32 to 64, random teams of random 5s that all get put together. They battle it out, and that top 8 to 12, they make up the NACL. And that's just what you're starting with. Now, then you maybe get into some kind of like promotion relegation system where you have an open qualifier, bottom 4 have to fight out of that, relegation qualifier system thing. So I'm just like throwing ideas at the wall, but like to me that is the way forward, where Riot continues to say we are doing NACL, but fine, LCS orgs, you're not going to do it, we're just going to run it anyway, and we're just going to have all these nonsense teams that look way better than anything you could ever come up with, because you're all terrible at scouting talent, and you just hire veterans to fill up your challenger rosters.
Riot actually did confirm that they're for this next split of NACL, all NACL teams, so even franchise ones, are now able to be relegated. That is now a thing, by the way. So you're spot on with that.
By all means, I
Beautiful.
think they absolutely should. EG challengers last season should have been relegated.
Bring back NAC. Bring back NA relegation.
Well,
make these franchise make these franchise teams. Why not? Why not? You know why they're able to make these decisions? Because they don't feel threatened. They think they can comfortably sit in the league no matter what happens financially and pull out whenever they want. If there's no threat of being kicked out by someone who actually gives a damn, there's no motivation to actually put anything into it.
The problem with that, though, is these teams paid $10 million to get into this franchise spot. If you open up the sudden ability to be relegated and you just lose $10 million, that's going to hurt a lot of people. So,
agreed.
Fair. But maybe they shouldn't have wasted it on the facilities and actually put it into the people.
That is a fair point. That is a very fair point.
Very fair. All right. Is there anything left for us to tackle tonight? MSI continues.
I guess the one thing I was gonna say is, like, what is y'all's ideal NACL like on the horizon? Like, what do you hope to see upon the horizon? It would probably be what we want, but like, what do you hope to see? Taking in mind what we know now.
Sure, you have a few LCS orgs, like 3 to 4, that have legitimate, FlyQuest challengers kind of thing. You have 2 to 3, maybe 4 other LCS orgs. Let's be honest, maybe 2 or 3 that say, okay, we can't afford to sponsor a full-on challengers team, but hey, we're going to partner with this other org, give them some additional branding, subsidize their players a little bit, and we'll do that. And then you have another like 5 to 8 teams that are just from the Wild West of Challenger. And it's just like open season, show up, play your games. Team Fish Taco, come on down. Team Tony Top, come on down. Supernova, come on down. Wildcard, come on down. Like all these teams, bring them in, let them play. And you know what? If FlyQuest Challengers finishes 15th, kick them out. They have to go fight in relegations. And if they lose, adios. You have to play through the open qualifier next year. So, you know, that's where I see it going. Curly, what about you?
Yeah, I want to see this boost collegiate esports. Because I think like legitimately that would actually be the most comfortable spot for up and coming rookies. Because if you can, you know, do esports, compete in the NACL, compete in, you know, tier 2, like it's more open now, but it's still tier 2. It's something you can claim on and still, you know, set up the rest of your life, even if this doesn't fall through. Like I think that's, or if this does fall through, if pro isn't the path you go down in the long term, that's a way better bet than trying to just, you know, hack it with a wild card in AoE. Like if you can have the comfort that, hey, I am decent enough financially because maybe my tuition pays for me to exist as a human. I've got a meal plan. You know, I get to just make sure I'm on top of my studies and my gameplay and I'm set. That is a decent security for someone who is fresh out of high school. So I think that is, and especially if you bring success and you find the right university that can maybe afford to give you some level of scholarship or like make a case for scholarship becoming a bigger thing for esports players, you know, I see that as long road, hopefully what really happens here.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think both are pretty much what I was hoping for. I think it was funny. I didn't think you were actually going to hit on the collegiate part, Curly. I was actually going to take that. So nice.
I just did an internship for my university. Why wouldn't I want more in collegiate esports?
Well, I thought you were just going to give your take on like what the NACL should look like, and so I was going to be sneaky and talk about collegiate, but you got me.
No.
They should be the same thing.
What was that, Sandy?
No, bring it on, Nox. Talk about it.
Oh, no, it was just, I would like to just basically see two dueling kind of ideas. Basically, maybe people who are more dedicated and have a chance of being picked up by an LCS team further down the line, and they feel like they have a chance at that, go compete in the NACL. If not, and you're not confident about it, go to collegiate. And the nice thing about that is you can continue your career, your life, and you can possibly get a job down the line if a league doesn't work out. But at the same time, you actually get a legit shot at it too, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think because like if you think about it in the past, right, it's always been like LCS and then Academy/NACL and then amateur, and then kind of like on the side grade of it has been kind of like collegiate / a little bit lower. And so hopefully what ends up happening is because like collegiate has in the past been this like kind of tier 3.5 thing, tier 3 thing. Hopefully what ends up happening is it moves up to like a tier 2.5, tier 2 thing. And basically both are viable options if you want to get scouted by an LCS team and maybe get picked up in the future. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. And will that happen? I think it's yet to be seen. I've seen a lot of doomsayers saying that basically what's happening right now in the NACL is probably only a couple of months out for collegiate. I've heard a lot of people saying like collegiate's about to get hit and have their bubble pop as well, which I don't know what that looks like because if I'm being honest, as knowledgeable as I am about the North American League of Legends scene, I actually really don't know much about the collegiate scene. So I got nothing on that one.
Something I did hear from my director is that other directors are kind of looking at not invested in League anymore because it's not, in terms of collegiate esports recruiting, unfortunately, League of Legends is a hot thing right now. You've got Valorant, COD, and Overwatch taking so much value for that.
Yeah.
You know?
So, well, we'll see. But I think that's my ideal goal is to see collegiate join to be like this tier 2.5, tier 2 level that's on par with NACL, and both are viable options for any up-and-coming players that want to be scouted by the LCS.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well, with that, I think we've come to the end of our time here tonight.
Good rants, guys.
Honestly,
very good rants.
Great show. Great show. And you know what? Thank you to our loyal viewers and listeners for tuning into another great episode of Flight Check. MSI, you know what? It's happening. Like, you know, watch it, I guess. Cloud9, 8 a.m. tomorrow, is it?
Yeah,
8 a.m.
Eastern,
ET, 7
8 a.m.
CT,
Yeah.
5 PT, and in case you are one of the few people that actually tunes into events from Rocky Mountain time, it'll be 6 a.m.
There you go. There you go. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for all of our reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at Santos DB, Nox at Noxwar with 2 R's, but for how much longer I don't know. And Curly.
Ooh, I need to check on Wayne right now. I'm gonna.
We're gonna
get a live Wayne check-in.
Live Wayne check. Hang on, I'm not gonna read off Curly's Twitter handle until he checks on Wayne. For those of you who don't know, Curly.
Wayne does unfortunately still exist.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, hold on. Let me check the OG Noxwar too while we're here.
All right. Well, Curly, you can find him at Curly_QQ_ until Curly QQ gets deleted, and then it's all his. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion, food postings, and otherwise taking place. If you missed any part of the episode, VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Nox, any final notes, shoutouts, and plugs before we wrap up?
Shout out to all of the NACL staff and players who are probably going to be getting some really unfortunate news in the next 24 hours, give or take. I was hearing most of the bulk should be coming sometime tomorrow, so expect lots and lots of NACL announcements tomorrow, and my heart goes out to all those guys because I'm sure the next 24 hours are going to be very, very rough.
Rough. Very difficult. All right, Curly, how about you?
I'm going to give a shout out to the LCS community members that give a damn, because I have seen my timeline blow up with people furious with Riot over this, as they should be, and I'm glad that I'm in, the right bubble on Twitter where I can see people who actually care about the players and the staffers that make League of Legends, a fun thing to enjoy and a possibility for aspiring players, because honestly, you are the reason that hopefully the LCS will be able to grow dedicated fans. So
yeah.
Keep fighting the fight, keep giving a fuck about players and those who do well, and staff, all
Absolutely.
Hopefully Riot will soon.
Hopefully. My shout out tonight, going to the Washington Nationals, who, against all odds, if they hold on tonight, they will be 19-23. And listener, do not forget that in the year of our Lord 2019, the Nationals were at one time 19-31, and then they proceeded to win the World Series. So they've already achieved that 19 win total in 8 less games. So, hey, is it on the horizon? Probably not. But things are looking way better this year than I think anyone in the Nats camp would have thought. So shout out to the Nationals. And also, dang, what's that song? It's been it's a TikTok meme lately, where it's like, what I've done, erase myself. It's like if a movie was made in 2007.
You mean What I've Done by Linkin Park?
Oh, yeah. I couldn't remember the name.
Oh.
Yeah, What I've Done by Linkin Park. Shout out to that song.
Did you even watch Transformers?
Well, no, that's what the meme is from. Anyway, shout out to What I've Done by Linkin Park. Great song. I knew the song. I didn't remember the name.
Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate y'all.
Anyway, we'll be back eventually.
We'll see y'all later
to discuss MSI and future LCS news. So for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.